Like, is it on? Okay. I know, they're like, show your fucking face. Show your freaking face. Why are you trying to hide from the world so much? Yeah, you're like trying to figure out whether it's yourself or whomever else or whomever is supplanting and implanting any sort of subliminals any given point in time in the back end of this said imagination bubble terrarium upon imagination bubbles coexisting simultaneously next to imagination bubbles within one big fat imagination bubble. Yeah, it's like that. Really, really, really is. But anyway, yeah, I'm a bead fanatic. She's a bead whore. She's a bead snob. You know. Yes, I'm a fan of the shaggy beanies. To those that are curious. So, to give people perspective, despite my said controversy in regards to myself being a racist and or indeed a prejudiced individual, I'm kind of predispositioned to that, you know, because of my bloodline and my coordinates and whatever. But I would think by now people would also be putting Dark Mother in her melanated form in my place first and foremost and looking at it from that angle. Hence, En Vogue's lyrics in that Free Your Mind song or whatever. Yeah, I know. It's like you want to tell people Africans don't necessarily like the Americanized, melanated Africanoses of sorts, and there's been a gentleman within the collective that's an enlightened individual thinker, thank God. So, someone like my said self individual here doesn't suffocate amongst anti Americans. Place or where it goes. So, anyway. I get a kick out of people that act like America is so bad and they really, really just focus on the prejudice and racism stuff and not realizing that racism and prejudice exists naturally in the monkey kingdom. So, you know, you could say, one, you could say take it up with God, and then you could say take it up with the animal kingdom, actually. Yeah, because of anthropologists talking about stuff and beating me to the punch here. Yeah, I know, it's kind of a weird angle. I have this little random doohickey. What is that? Those selfie stick things, but it's like one that's flexible or whatever. I can make shadow puppets. Yeah, I got royally bitched at. The freaking beast came out of someone because I decided to be a little selfish and or conservative with the 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 Peruvian coffee here, because I was raised to have keen eye when it comes to, you know, food and shit, so I surprise people here for sure. I know the Europeans, I understand as much how much it can drive people crazy, especially for the melanin part aspect of things when you're around, you know, just primarily European folk. Yes, I made it known and I blurted my mouth plenty of times about it. So don't act like just because of my predisposition over here in my fucking said coordinates and shit, and just because I'm primarily 60% Aryan of different varieties, and just because I have prejudices still racism and coexisting simultaneously within me still, that I don't still pick up on shit, or that it don't rub that side of me the wrong way, because it do. Perspectives, yeah, they're quite invaluable. So, you know, Put in those 2 cents doohickeys, thingamer-twos, or bob, or whatever. Something about Heyoka being inserted into the quarter. 25 cents, American quarter and shit. Was that George Washington? You know, it's like I like money, but I'm not educated when it comes to said fiscal, monetary, said currency arena. Not like I can't quickly, walk up the ladder in my own right as long as I get off my ass. Yeah, I know that reinserting the unicorn that was like hidden, or it was a 13th zodiac sign. The powers that be didn't want people to know about. Lizard Queen over here. Yeah, I know. I guess I'm like afraid to be seen truly or something. They were making fun of me a while ago. Some like random reader, broad, Aryan, female, blonde lady. This like very like snake woman. And I'm like, what, you're talking about yourself? Yeah, I know. I haven't heard from that lady. I think some Melanie lady called that one out, though. I'm not gonna go into names and shit. What? The fact that I don't care for blue-eyed blondes? What? Because I'm not Adolf Hitler? What? Oh my god! What? That is so crazy, because why? Take a wild guess. Take a wild gander and a wild guess, because what? I'm evolved, and I've been quite refined and polished and of sorts. Anyway, my nonchalant of sorts aside here, get on more of a closer to home note here, and closer to heart here, if not indeed in my heart. To touch on something, because I kept on getting interrupted earlier. This is only to those that genuinely are curious, and it can help genuinely in thy said healing processes for any said individual within the collective at their said disposal, if they so wish for it, and that is on their terms and solely their terms alone. If they deem it of any sort of sustenance and value to begin with. I know, I have horns. But anyway, for me, okay, to give people an idea, I'll share some things again since I've taken stuff down, and yeah, I'm a tweak. For me, for whatever reasons, I've always gone back to black. I know you think of like that Amy Winehouse song, "Back to Black." Yeah, it's like that, like her, a lot like her. Yeah, actually, it's good that I'm mentioning her because or that song AWOL Nation, Blame It on My ADD, and then Amy Winehouse. There's that song Back to Black, and then there's that other song. Try to make me go to rehab, and I said no, no, no. Yeah, so they gotta kind of think of like I don't know. I heard something about Irish tinkers. So you think of like gypsies, old world gypsy folk type people. You can kind of think of like Slavics, Romanians, Turkic. So obviously you can go real way back. Was it Hittites, Assyrians, Sumerians, Mesopotamians? You know, you got Iranians. So I'm probably more on the Iranian side, and that explains they found the swastikas in Iran. I guess stuff etched around or whatever. It's not all bad. It's just merges the good, the positive and negative, and within the swastika is very controversial. I know. But the Martian influence took it over and distorted it, hence, or the Lucifer experiment. If anyone's watched Spirit Science, they'll know what I'm talking about. Um, connecting stuff to Buddha and monks and something, even monks having connections with like being around the Nazis or something or what, like all kinds of crazy stuff. I think there's like a book or something and some stuff I want to try to find one of these days or something, but yeah, I know they like ended up like what is that? Killing themselves and like swearing an oath and swearing to secrecy to never let certain things get out and be disclosed to anyone for any reasons whatsoever. Yeah, I know you got Cathars, so I'm part of the Cathars, the Knights Templar, and the Merovingians, and definitely the Mesopotamians. So, something my current husband talked about Neanderthals were the first people, and they had this innate ability to be able to navigate and get in touch with other humanoids very easily, or their own like that within the mind. So you think of like psychic abilities and instincts and intuition and stuff. Yeah, like they had like this little like innate little like built-in like radar, like human radar system or something. I don't know, like they're over there, they're over there, this is happening here, this is happening, blah, blah. Yeah, to help, you know, properly navigate, the realities, safely and be able to survive and whatever. So anyway, the Mesopotamians, so they invented the was it the wheel? Yeah, and that's why they worship the stone wheel or whatever. And was it Seven Sisters? So Pleiades and some you think of the Hathors. That's the Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, I believe, and Hathor was worshipped more in ancient Egypt. But I think the Pleiadians and the Pleiades or the Seven Sisters was worshipped more by I heard Christ is Pleiadian, but I'm not sure. I'm kind of wondering if he's more like Syrian, like Sirius. Yeah, so because I think of Spock was at Star Trek. Yeah, and like Serious Dogs of War, um, in the something about lead geneticist, something like that, the fish people. Yeah. So obviously the melanin, you have two Christ twins. One of them for certain that was raised recently was highly melanin and would be deemed like black or whatever. Yeah, but the other one I'm not sure. Like Christ himself that was put back in the sun. I'm not sure what his ethnic origins are because I didn't act. The vision I got wasn't of his like. Yeah, so it was kind of weird. I'm trying to think. So Mesopotamia. So I had the vision. I had the vision of a cave woman pushing a stone wheel. Her ethnic or like her, this I didn't know because it's like just kind of like a. It made me think of like the Flintstones kind of cartoon thing. Yeah, to give people an idea on that. So yeah, Mary Magdalene. Those that are curious, there's a book. I'm gonna start reading this stuff and getting off my ass. It's by Stuart Swerdlow called Blue Blood, True Blood. To those that are curious, I gotta dive into it again, and I have some of his other books along with his wife, with Janet Swerdlow. Yeah, so I have a few of their books. I need to collect more when I can come into proper funds. So, you know, yeah, it's like I'm kind of like weird, and if people watch other videos done by other people in the collective, they'll better be able to understand me and why I am the way that I am, and not just kind of like make assumptions and presumptions or preconceived notions at me and judgments without trying to get to really know me, because it's actually they'll realize when they start learning, like especially from like a lot of different tarot readers, mind you, females that are highly melanated, they'll be able to find information they otherwise wouldn't have. Yeah, in order to like truly see me with clarity, let alone, Yeah, but it's kind of like I even need to like, because I know for me, I've actually been like very more focused on myself and like self absorbed. So it's like I even know like I even need to like branch out more even still. So it's kind of like, yeah, I know. It's like something like I know I need to work on. I'm like noticing it now or whatever. But it's weird because there's an illusion, I guess, to that because it's like I hadn't actually, it took all this, whatever sort of trials and tribulations for me to actually like put myself first, basically, kind of. Yeah, because if you look at if one's life, because it all depends on the individual. Despite me at times wearing masks or whatever, like lying to myself or being in denial or whatever, um, it's like I've still spoken like truth basically because of like my past videos prove otherwise. Yeah, even if at times there's like I don't want to like speak on something or I'm still like not facing myself fully or shit like that, wearing a mask or whatever. Yeah, it's like gives that illusion because you have to go by a person's actions still, like over time intervals of their life. So it's kind of interesting because I guess I'm one to talk because it's like I here am I like being critical, right? So obviously I'm like a critical person and analytical. So I definitely got that from my family, let alone whether or not they're biologically my family. So I've got to figure that out for sure. But I've heard the rumors for a while, so some readers might think like I'm so clueless and whatever, but they actually don't personally know me and they don't personally know they confuse Stockholm syndrome. So they confuse someone that's got Stockholm syndrome, or they confuse an old soul going through the process of remembering themselves with you being like basically stupid, because that's just melanin female still wanting to project at the lighter sister that she's stupid. And they've been doing it up until this point. Yeah, I don't understand why, but I guess like from what I'm gathering, there's females that have like a crush on me or like vice versa or some shit. Yeah, and it's kind of like I can't even like really make fun of them or anything like that, nor should I keep continuing to because it's kind of like I'm just gonna prove like I'm no different than some of them or whatever. Yeah, so but anyway, I have been picked on by females in my past. Yes, I have been they've played mind games a lot with me to give guys a perspective here from like a female standpoint that's very open about their sexuality and comfortable. So anyway, yes, they play mind games a lot. They'll string you along. They'll leave you guessing, having to read their minds, thinking that they're really into you, but they're not. I know they're evil. Yeah, so I'm well aware of that stuff. So, no, that's why when it came to, I would have to say there was really only one guy. Yeah, out of all the serious relationships I was with, that it was like pretty much like I just felt like we mirrored each other in just like wanting to be completely like chaotic and chaos and evil. What is it? Evil, deviant, and all those things. So yes, I have been in a very call was that Sid Vicious and a girl and you think of like the punk rockers and shit. Amy Winehouse and that guy she was with, just like that. Yeah, but the other two were not that way. Just to give people an idea here. So yeah, they can't just look at someone for like a small period, minute time of their life on a timeline. They have to look at the broader big picture because everybody's different. So let's say they had their what is it, slut phase or whatever. Yeah, it's kind of like it's bound to happen because that pretty much comes with the territory whenever someone's going through their downward spiral. So, it just comes with it. Let me see here. I'm gonna put this. Yeah, I'm like, I don't want it to be like me looking up so much. Yeah. Yeah, it's like before the, what is it, the awakening or whatever. Yeah, so before you have your kundalini activation, whatever people want to call it, the god spark, back inside, within inside your, pineal. Yeah, there's like little pieces, flecks of like crystal or whatever in there. That's why people go crazy with drugs and all that stuff. I think they even found like cocaine residue within the nasal cavities or on remnants of that residual stuff on the ancient Egyptian mummies, or some of them. They call them like cocaine mummies or something. Yeah, so, the devil in the crack pipe. Yeah, so people just have to think of too, they have to also put the man in the woman's place and put the woman in the man's place, and they'll pretty much see like practically no difference. But I guess it is kind of crazy in the end of the day when people still individuate. So, yeah. But anyway, to give people perspective, so yes, I wasn't raised to see color. So despite having prejudices and or racism always there, um, it exists naturally within the monkey kingdom, or sort of like monkey discrimination, where I guess there's said that when two different monkeys mate, the hybrid species is casted out, so they're not accepted by either side. Yeah, so it's pretty much like that's I basically it's like any mixed person, if you ask me, is like it's the same. Yeah. So yeah, even still, even with mixed people, I feel like um it's kind of, we always have like this love hate between it all. So it's kind of like we'll have prejudices. So let's say I'll take for myself. I'll use myself as a little example here. Point of reference. So I'll use myself. So even myself, I don't care for certain European type females, is correct. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting when I see people in the collective of people of color, mind you, and having so much hate, right, for like specific Europeans, whether it's what Germanic or what Germanics or whatever. Yeah, when I think I'm actually Germanic, so it's kind of like, yeah, it's like it hits closer to home for you. Obviously, it's going to be the case for anyone when you yourself are like a descendant of or part of a group of people. So it's always going to mean something more to you versus to someone or whomever's that have no connections to that specific group or groups of people, is correct. Yeah, so it's kind of like in me, with my bloodline being one of the older ones, like of course I'm not really going to naturally relate to anyone anyway. Yeah, so it's like it does really put me in an interesting, unique predicament. Some people, there's like a British woman or a European woman, I think she's English or British, whatever people want to call it. She's like an old world comedian or vintage comedian. Curiosity is American in and of itself, to give people an idea. Anyway, I'm trying to think. Some people need. Oh, Dinesh D. Souza. I still have to read his books more. I read a part of one. It was like really good. Yeah, I don't know what it is about like something with certain like Indian people. They just like get it or something. Yeah, they're like Persian or like Arabic or Middle Eastern or some kind, or even like what is that, parts of India. Yeah, I heard there is a group of people like they're of color, but they're like on the lighter side, like light tan. So you think of like my mom still or something. But was it last name Singa? Yeah, because I had the mustard oil and something about Parsis people. Yeah, it is very interesting. And they traveled to North India, so they weren't even something with Zoroastrians. They weren't even there's some weird migration stuff that was going on. I gotta try and go back to it because I think there could be something there I need to look into or could figure out. Yeah, there is like some peoples. There's the I think Roma and Santi. I think people something in Italy or somewhere over there. Those are like gypsy type people and stuff. But yeah, the Parsis or something. There's something with like those people, and they're also still like some of them are still like very Aryan kind of looking or something, but not. You can tell like they're not European though. Yeah, it's really weird. Some people just need to like go study what is that Turkic people, and they'll get a better idea. Turkic people or Solomon's blondes in Peru. Like just Google like images. So Solomon's blondes in Peru are like Turkic people, and obviously Mayans. But yeah, there's people that don't want to acknowledge that like they're actually very unique groups of people, and you can't just be like, oh, they're black or oh, they're all out of Africa or some shit like that when they're not. Yeah, so it's kind of like people needing to just acknowledge the reality of reality that like no, there's different hybridizations of humanoids on the planet, and there's actually very specific groups of humanoids on the planet because what their DNA obviously speaks for itself. So yeah, so it's like don't feel bad if you're like, in a sense it's like, even though as much as I like to rub shit in people's faces or whatever, I have that bad habit or whatever. Because it's like, you yourself are like guilty of shit, the same shit too. Yeah. So anyway, the En Vogue song. Yeah, they need to put the melanated female in place of me first. That's why I'm like, should I paint my skin to get these people to like get a fucking clue or some shit? Yeah, I know, cause of Kali. Yeah, they gotta think of her, but with like maybe like the chibi version with like the real lighter blue skin or whatever. Pretty much. That's why in India they paint their faces. So the people, that are, the color, whatever, they'll do the white paint. Yeah. So it's like you'll start to see like judge people less and less. I'm not saying that there aren't people that paint their faces that are indeed racist or whatever. Right. So it's like place it where it goes or whatever. Go on an individual basis or some shit. But yeah, so anyway, back to the point I was really trying to get at with my upbringing. So it's like really unique because whether or not they're biologically my family, mind you, and I still gotta look into it more. I haven't gotten around to it. Doing more DNA tests when I researched. I don't know if it was usefulcharts.com or anthropologist page or what, but it was probably a mix of the two, and the tests cost money. So if you want to do different DNA tests, it does indeed cost money, and I haven't had the funds or the support financially. Yeah, so and it's kind of like I've been borrowing and using other people's money, so yeah, and it's like I'm learning a lesson still right now. So when it comes to all that, yeah, I know. I have a spending issue, and I got it didn't ever actually used to be that way actually at all. Yeah, because there was many big portion of my life where I had different jobs and was independent and able to fend for myself, and hold a roof over my head and be responsible with my bills or whatever, and take care of other people. But what happened with me is like more or less it's kind of like things just catch up to you. So if you're, a people pleaser too much and all that shit, so, yeah, so I can only judge like whomever else in the collective so much, I guess, in that those senses or whatever. Because it's like, I could relate. Yeah, but they gotta look at it too. It's like, the female instinct. So instead of like judging me, like, oh, you're being cut off right now because you spend too less, and you spend too less. You gotta spend less, but because you're spending too much, so you need to learn the lesson not to buy extra stuff. But that's, a person that sounds like that is not someone that's trying to see you multidimensionally to begin with anyway, despite it being a truth. Yeah, I know. Don't you think it's funny when people button your business constantly and want to profit off of you and act like they give a shit? I had to throw those out there. It's just. Yeah, I know people have a mentality where they can say anything and everything that they want as they so please to you, but like, you can't. Yeah, there's some really interesting weirdos in the collective. Needless to say, they're double standards and shit. Yeah, they forget I'm very actually Irish. Yeah, because the European that shows up for me is English and Irish first. Yeah, little beknownst to some of these knuckleheads. Mary Magdalene's bloodline over here. Y'all fucking get a clue and get that in your fucking thick ass craniums over around about over yonder. Please, por favor. Anyway, so what the points I was really trying to get at here before I started going on a tangent about ethnic roots and shit or whatever, to whatever sort of myriad of different cultures and groups of people that have come into existence, that have sacrificed God knows what to get me here. My mom's side, so Mexican. Yeah, so just very straight up classic Mexican is correct. So no, I was not raised to see color. I didn't, there was no emphasis on that. My father didn't put any emphasis on it. Okay? Despite whatever, even my personal opinions or whatever, the people, what is it? Their actions spoke for themselves, or their love and passion and dedication and commitment spoke for itself. Yeah, their hard work spoke for itself, all those things. So, yes, my mother's mother, for some reason, I was the one whom she felt comfortable enough to confide in, surprisingly, in a lot of ways when you really think about it. Yeah, because it's kind of like we're so strikingly different or whatever, our backgrounds or whatever, ethnic stuff. Yeah, she was the one where she would tell me, I don't know, maybe it was because you think of the INFJ thing. Um, I know people would actually probably find this hard to believe even right now. Yeah, it's because of how I look. They're going by how I look and they're going by my coordinates and shit. So, she, for some reason, was able to confide in me and felt very comfortable too. So, when it came to the other side and sharing whatever sort of supernatural psychic visions or what you would deem paranormal or metaphysical, she felt comfortable enough to confide in me on those things. Maybe it was because I didn't look at her as a mental nutcase or anything of that sort, so I'm assuming that's what it had a lot to do with. My grandfather on my father's side gravitated to her to confide in her as well. Anyway, so yeah, she had spoken of seeing the devil, to those that are curious. I remember her talking about like scratch marks and stuff being left on the wall or walls and stuff to do with her sisters. She had told me, I just share some things, not too much. She had told me, or what I can remember, she had told me, something about concentration camp, her being in it, something with the Japanese. Trying to think what else. She did teach me how to cook. Yeah, different things. She was always working with her hands, so she did stuff the old fashioned way. She knew how to sew, so she taught me how to sew. All those hands on type stuff. So that's really, if you think about it, yes, a lot of stuff when it comes to like my hard work ethics and stuff and wanting to use my hands a lot. It definitely it comes from both sides of the family. I'm not gonna lie and just say it's my mom's side or the people I was raised by or whatever. So, that's pretty much, so I got used to a lot of very classic Mexican food. So they always had tamales in the freezer. I always ate them. I didn't like, it's like when you're given the food, you don't like, when you're given stuff early on, it gets you like used to the culture and stuff. Yeah, so it's like even to this day I like tamales a lot. Yeah, so I try to stay away from the pork. So something with like Sephardic Jews, I guess, and then being forced to convert to, was it Christianity, either Christianity or Catholic. Yeah, and something with the pork. Yeah, so that's having to do with Sephardic Jews and like Spaniard stuff. Yeah, that's what I was researching. I'm trying to think. But anyway, to give people an idea, so obviously El Milagro tortillas, I got that influence from them. So, yeah, so that's why I still eat that food a lot or whatever. I like the beans. Yeah, I just kind of have like a bad habit of like making too big of portions of food, so I gotta. It's kind of like something to work on or whatever to be more conservative again. I know girls. My mom was singing, "Girls just want to have fun." Yeah, she was the same way. She was like, I. It's like, even though I gave her a warning, like voicing my concern, she was like, "No, no, no." So it's like, as much as people in the collective wanting to make me look like the bad guy, they're like, yeah, it's kind of hilarious. They're like, we're both guilty. Yeah, but it was like doomsday prepping stuff in there too. So people in the collective aren't thinking multidimensionally when they're perceiving me necessarily. Yeah, I know. I guess it's to be expected. So my bloodline's older. Yeah, I know. I don't. That's when like, I don't. You know for a fact that you really couldn't stand being anyone else in existence. Like in your, I kid you not. Yeah, because of your DNA and your genetics, and the value of it first and foremost, and how you are on an evolutionary standpoint on as an individual. Yeah, so it's like, granted, I've struggled with getting past periods of jealousy or whatever, but that's normal for anyone. But in the end of the day, that's really what made me realize, like, man, like, I wouldn't want to be like other people or anything. Yeah, because there's no comparison or anything, which is true. Despite whatever skills they got at their said disposal, or indeed, or genuinely, for or whatever. Yeah, so it's kind of like, but anyway, to give people an idea, so I was comfortable early on with that stuff, and for whatever reasons, probably because I'm an INFJ or whatever, that's the confidant or confidant or whatever. Was that Lisa Simpson from The Simpsons? For whatever reasons, that, someone felt comfortable talking to me or whatever, and I noticed, as time went on, the family started treating me differently. Like, basically, alienating me and like casting me out and like not accepting me or whatever with the women. Yeah, so the jealousy and whatever, so started acting weird with me. So but I'm on the cusp of Pisces and Aries, so I'm right on the cusp. So I need to still figure out whether I'm sidereal or tropical. I'm wondering if I'm leaning on the tropical, though I still have that very like Anunnaki yeah, like divide and conquer and shit, but that didn't really come out until like later on, I guess, for me. Other people are like getting it satiated early ahead of me anyway. But something was sidereal and tropical. My mother's mother, her birthday was March 3rd, to give people an idea. My birthday is March 23rd, in that year of the dragon, 1988 or whatever. Yeah, so indigo. I'm an indigo or whatever else. Crystal kid thing in there. I think I'm like a few things. I think people can be a few different things. So, I know my new logo. A little weird. But anyway, so I have like the art I've done. There's like more I want to do too, but supplies cost money or whatever. I have stuff around. I just really actually just need to arrange things better. But yeah, so learning how to sew. So that's how I was able to do. I have some art pieces. I did a lot of sculpture and stuff, whether it's painting, fine art, tattooing, making clothes. I did like it all. I guess like my mom got a little jelly because of the sewing piece I did, like on a cardboard poster thing, but it's like a lot. It's very elaborate sewing and stitch work. So yeah, it's very like extensive. So yeah. So it's like, granted, when it came to clothes, I didn't do the best, but I did actually make a lot of different pieces that are like costume stuff or like trench coats, corsets, different things, purses, embellishing, beading, shit ton of beads, whether it's on hippie pants or other stuff, sewing patches on denim jackets, like punk rockers, cutesy goth stuff or whatever styles. Yeah, I did all that. I have to post stuff up one of these days somewhere, but anyway, yeah. Got the stitch work piece back there. People must be like digging that. They dig that one, and that one got a lot of likes. I post stuff up, the same pieces over and over again, because it's kind of like it's part of needing to get your stuff out there. Yeah. But I'm trying not to do it like too much or something, not to be like too annoying or something. Yeah. But I'm trying to think. So I learned how to do that from my mother's mother. Yeah, so you want to talk about, my dad was the handyman. He was the one, and his father. So his father, the English, you think English, Irish, they might have some German actually, I'm not sure. Yeah. My father's father, he was more patient than my own father, is correct. He was more of a gentle, laid back sort of guy. He taught me how to do puzzles. Yeah, and he did take me out on a shooting range when I was probably, I don't know, between 8 and 11 years old, or 8 and 12 years old. I don't remember. It was before he passed away, so he was the one to teach me how to use guns. So I think I used, I want to say, a hand pistol and maybe like a rifle or a shotgun, one of the two, either a rifle or shotgun. So yeah, he was like old school, like you think of like a hunter, living off the land, things kind of like that. But he was still more, what is that? Modernized still, like the Happy Meal. Yeah, so give people an idea. My dad was the one that was mechanically and technically inclined. Yes, he made it a point. We always had to help when it came to dinner, so we were forced to. The discipline is actually really good for people. I'm not gonna lie when I look back, because it's like, it taught me how to cook like a lot of things. Yeah, because both, not just my mother, but my dad too, was like always cooking and stuff. So it's like, despite whatever, good and bad of my upbringing, it's like, I can respect a guy that's like doing the work just the same as the woman. Yeah, especially when it comes to cooking. So like I don't agree with the men that just like leave all the cooking to the woman. Like I don't agree with that. Yeah, because to me it's like when it comes to family, I do think of like it should be more like you think of the days of the homesteaders and stuff. Yeah, of all people, that coming out of me, people wouldn't expect it because it's like I was always the city girl and all about the nightlife and the party lifestyle and art, performing arts and or fine art and whatever. But granted, I did do food manufacturing jobs, uh, janitorial jobs. I was at FedEx Freight for a period of time. I worked at UPS for a period of time. So I was a loader and a supervisor. And then I did different food manufacturing jobs. I did sales. I worked at Joann Fabrics, logistics, warehouse distribution work or whatever. Yeah, I did Lyft for a period of time or whatever. Yeah, I've done all kinds of stuff, so it's not like it's just the adult nightlife, you know exotic whatever dancing people want to call it stuff, fetish work or whatever. Modeling, I did all that. I did nude modeling or whatever. Yeah, I did. What is it? I learned very brief aerial hoop, but not to the extent that I probably would have liked to take it further. And I did one class of what is it, aerial silks and shit. Yeah, so I did that. I had to hang upside down. Like I paid money and I hung upside down. I had to do crunches like that. I was hypnotized one time by a random guy. I don't know if I paid him money. I might have, and I had to sit down and pick out something on a piece of paper of like a character or avatar to like reenact out. You know? Yeah, shit's crazy. Yeah, so it's like I did really experiment a lot with, I guess, going into the depths of my own mind to really see like what's in there, what's buried within there, within. Yeah, I know it coincides with like an Einstein quote. The girl that goes off on her own or something will be the one to like find the answers or some shit, something along those lines. Yeah, so my dad, I would help him with the cars too. So a little beknownst to some people that they were women that were just wanting an excuse to shade me, but they're just showing their level of evolution is lesser than mine. Because there was a time where a couple times where I helped my dad with the cars. Because we were pretty much were expected to. There was a time where I had to be the one to get on top of the roof of the house or an area. It wasn't too high up off the ground or anything to help redo the roofing. So pretty much I was the one that ended up being more of the boy. Yeah. Whereas my brother was the one that was more sheltered. Though he cooks a lot and he would help out taking care of my mom a lot. Yeah, he was the one that stayed at home or whatever. I know, perspectives. One time, I think it was on my 88 Oldsmobile, and there was an oxygen sensor, and my dad, for whatever reasons, couldn't get it off because his hands were too big. So I had to go in there, and I was able to pry it loose or whatever because my hands were small enough. Yeah, shit like that. So. Yeah, I had learned Photoshop for a brief period of time. I'm sure there's like a lot of stuff I could learn. I've noticed though, like I'm the type of person where I'm very hands-on, and I do need to be like there's something about, so I'm like a feeler type person. So there's something about visuals And also, there's something about the teacher. So I like very hands on, I guess, more one on one sessions with like a tutor or a teacher of some kind. Um, Not like in a big classroom setting or anything like that. Yeah, it's knowing it. There is something to be said about knowing what works best for you, and it's going to differentiate naturally so from person to person. Not everybody's going to be the same, and that's okay. In the end of the day, it's about doing what works best for you. It's not about anyone else. Yeah, so it's like when someone is genuinely has a passion for whatever field of study or whatever, in cultivating that said skill or skill sets, yes, it does help. Really makes a difference when you genuinely have somebody that's passionate about whatever subject it is or field of study. Yeah, so it's like, from my experience anyway, when I was, it's all about your environment and being in the proper environment first and foremost to be able to flourish anyway.
I'm gonna run to fries real quick with some milk
Okay.
while I'm feeling okay. Still feel like crap.
Well, stay hydrated. Take vitamin C, zinc, and copper.
Big boy,
We can grab some oranges, eat some oranges. But yeah, like for example, the time when I went to college, so I had the scholarship or whatever, early college program, and I did the fashion or whatever. But then I quickly figured out I rather do the fine arts. Yeah. So I think I stayed for a year, and that was all I could afford, like financial aid and shit. So SAIC or whatever, the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. Yeah, so I'm trying to think. I did some studies class, research study classes on different things, and there was one class that I did. It was essay writing or English or something. Yeah, and something I'm trying to think there. That's when I improved. So it was like in high school, I was like head D's or something. Because the only thing I was interested in was art, like art classes of all kinds. I did like all of them. I wasn't interested in any other subjects. So, of course, I did poorly in the other classes. But when it came to college, so it's like the illusion of things. When it came to college, oh, I was also in special ed when I was really young. Was it dyslexia, and other shit? ADD, ADHD. Yeah, I've always had those problems. Um, that's why I know, like, when it comes to jobs, that I have to be in a more, actually, it works better for me if I'm in a fast paced environment. Yeah, so that's why you'll see whatever you deem as witches in like manufacturing or warehouse or distribution, shipping and receiving, or delivery jobs and things like that. Yeah, we can't just be around anyone. Yeah, we don't get along with most people, I would say. Granted, people gravitate to us, or whatever, depending on the person or whatever. But yeah, there was the English class I did, and I went from a D to an A because of the particular teacher was good. Yeah, so it really depends on your teacher and your teachers. So that's more or less self-explanatory. But anyway, to give people ideas here. Yes, if it weren't for my mom, um, who knows what would happen to me. Yeah, she was the one she knew about energy, and she knew about giving someone a lifeline when it comes to health and wellness and supplements, and knowing that just from her energy, having her energy on something is basically giving someone a lifeline. Yeah, so give people ideas here. So anyway, wasn't raised to see color, and being colorblind, despite prejudice and racism underlays. Either way, that's we could freak out and things all we want, rub things in people's face all we want, but at the end of the day, An individual's behavior will speak for itself, and if they're not hurting you or anyone, yeah. And they need to think of en vogue, yeah, and put the melanated female actually in my position, and some people will start thinking differently. To who needs to hear that? Yeah, maybe people stop being so hard on themselves and realize that stuff naturally exists in the monkey kingdom. If they do their research anyway, but you know. Anyway, long video. Yes, I'm experienced in adult entertainment. To those that are curious, yes, I have stories I'm not afraid to share in person. I've shared stuff online plenty of times in the past, but I don't think anymore really I'm going to be going into details or whatever. Yeah, because too, it's like I've been married 5 years. Yeah, and I've been sober for 5 years, so I pretty much, I was having the issues with drugs and alcohol and all kinds of stuff, and I pretty much gave up on life. So yeah, so all that being in a very dark place thing or whatever. So even if there's like a part of me that wants to like hold something against whomever at any given point in time, I still could only judge people as much as I'm willing to judge myself. And I myself have to um come to terms with that and accept that. To whom needs to hear that? Yeah, but I don't have a problem like sharing stories or whatever. But people gotta think of what's the interviews? There's some people that do interviews of prostitutes and stuff. I think there's a Vice documentary about God's prostitutes too, and whatever else. But yeah, so pretty much so I have been actually. This is the marriage I'm in right now. In regards for myself, has been the first monogamous, like at all. Yeah, so like I'm actually not used to like a normal healthy relationship with a man, really. I'm not gonna also blame it all on the man. It's also like my doing too, because I was equally wanting to participate in polygamy and or swinger lifestyle stuff. Yeah, but I pretty much, yes, I suppressed things a lot, but I got basically, I conditioned myself to suppress my, how I feel, and putting my feelings aside and stuffing them away, and basically I got too used to not validating my own feelings and acknowledging my own feelings as anything of any meaning, basically. So it was like I disconnected associating with my feelings at all. Like, yeah, so basically, therein lies your thing, their disassociation. Yeah, so it's like I still disassociate now because I got conditioned that way as early on as a child. That's why. Yeah, it's narcissistic abuse, whether physical or verbal. So, to give people an idea, that is correct. Yes, I was sexually molested as a child, and it was by a babysitter's son and some friend. Yeah, it was like resurfaced memory, something about swinging me around like a jump rope, like naked and shit, among other things. So yes, I've had experiences.